And I think it's time to go ahead and get started. Hey, welcome to At the Track Live. My name is Coach James. I am the creator and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics. What is All About Aerodynamics, you ask? Glad you asked, even if you didn't ask. All About Aerodynamics is a science program where I use Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about physics, about aerodynamics, about drag, about lift, about kinetic energy, about potential energy, about Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, about a whole range of science and physics related topics and themes. Once I've taught them the science, then I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student selects a Hot Wheels car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything they've learned about aerodynamics and physics. And then once they've picked their cars, they set up a 20-foot drag strip and we have a tournament. We race the cars and we determine, they determine through their observations if their car performed up to or below their expectations, and if they would choose that car again if they had a different opportunity, or would they stick with the same car because they liked the outcome. And at the end of the program, the students have learned all the science, they have had fun with the Hot Wheels cars, and that's it. It's just that simple. Using Hot Wheels cars to teach science lessons, having the kids have fun and learn, best of both worlds. So, At the Track Live is a offshoot of All About Aerodynamics, and I created At the Track Live because before I can take 400 or more Hot Wheels cars into a classroom for students to use, I have to make sure that I know which cars I'm bringing in, so I know which cars I'm taking out, and after the students have used the cars, I need to be able to put them back in just the right place. So in order to do that, I have to document information about the cars. I have to enter it into a spreadsheet. I need to take pictures. I need to take a little video because there is an online version of All About Aerodynamics. And doing that work of cataloging the cars was pretty tedious. And basically I would just grab a bunch of cars, sit there, go through, put something on TV, take a picture of the cars, put the information in the spreadsheet, and it was pretty boring, but it was necessary to do. So I tried to determine how could I make something I have to do into something that's fun to do, and that's how I came up with At the Track Live. And with At the Track Live, every week I go into my storage bin that's full of Hot Wheels cars that I've bought but haven't opened and entered into the fleet. I go into the storage, I pull out about 6 Hot Wheels cars, and based on, really I'm trying to take usually I'm trying to take the older cars, so I have about 3 or 4 bins just full of Hot Wheels cars that haven't been opened. So I usually try to go to the oldest bin, pull out those 6 of those cars, bring them in, we'll take a picture, I'll shoot the video, we'll be able to see it, review it, talk about the car, and then I will take it to the track after I've reviewed all 6 cars. Then, I figured that was fine. You could watch me do that. But I was like, how can I make this a little more interesting, a little more interactive? And that's when the live part came in. Because if you go to atthetrack.live, you have three options. One is the YouTube link, one is the Twitch link, and you don't need those because you're already here. But the third link says choose a car. If you select that option, it will take you to this page. And on this page, you will see all of the cars that are currently in the All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live fleet. And what you can do is scroll through, and all of the cars are there. And currently, there are 638, but I'm going to admit I have been slacking off the past 2 weeks. Actually, I've just had a lot of other work and meetings and things that have come up, and I haven't entered all. I'm probably about 12 cars behind. It's probably been about 2 weeks since I have entered cars in. So technically, there are 638 cars available and entered into the fleet, but I'm not sure how many I have actually uploaded to the website, to this page. We're going to find out as I keep scrolling down. So many different cars. Okay, so there's 626, so I'm definitely behind, and after today there will be 6 more, so I will really need to buckle down and get these listed. But you have 626 cars to choose from. What do I mean you have 626 cars to choose from? Well, all of these cars, if you notice, have a number. So the mustache car, which is this one that has the flip out mustache, for some reason it flips out of the back and you can have a mustache. I don't know why. I really don't know why, but you can have a mustache. Anyway, if you think that this mustache car is going to be faster than one of the 6 cars that I introduced, then all you have to do is take the number of the car, in this case 617, and if you want to take a closer look at the car, you can click on it and see a detailed picture of it. And if that's the car you want, you take the number 617, you drop it into the chat, and once you do that, then I will pull that car, and after I pull the car, we will take it to the track and race. Now, if your car is faster than the other 6 cars that I've introduced today, well, congratulations. Your car will be today's champion. And you will have a chance to go up against our fastest in fleet car. Now, what is our fastest in fleet car, you might ask? Even if you didn't ask, I will show you. I'll show you, and I'll tell you. The fastest in fleet car is currently the Draftntor. It is this one. It is this drag truck. This is our fastest in fleet car. This is the car that has been our champion for the past 2 or 3 weeks. And the races it's been involved in have not been all that close. This truck has pretty much blown away all of its competition. And it is going to be waiting for whichever car wins the mini tournament. Now, it could be one of the 6 cars that I introduced today, or it could be a car that you select. And again, if you go to atthetrack.live, you can select choose a car, find a car that you think may be faster than the Draftntor, and you will be able to possibly have a car and claim the fastest in fleet title. But as for right now, that belongs to the Draftntor, and based on the performance of the Draftntor the last few weeks, I'm not really sure that it's going to take a pretty special car to beat the Draftntor out, because the margins that the Draftntor has been winning by have been pretty significant. It really hasn't had too it really hasn't been put to the test very very often, and our races are best 2 out of 3. So other cars have the opportunity; they just haven't been able to capitalize. Plug in these. Yeah, I knew something was missing. The flashing lights in the background. So we have the Draftntor, and I pulled out a handful of cars to make up the group for today. But one of the things I realized is, hey, it is May the 4th, and if you are familiar with the phrase, and at this point, who isn't? May the 4th be with you. So there are a lot of Star Wars themed activities that take place on this day. And I was looking for my Star Wars shirt. I had one because I did a science, Star Wars themed science event last year, but I couldn't find it. But nevertheless, I figured, all right, let me think if there's a Star Wars theme or car or something that can fit in the launcher that I can use. Now, I know that in our fleet, if you go to that page, there is an X-Wing fighter car, and that one is, I believe it's, let me double check, because I know I have one. Now, whether or not it's actually been entered into the fleet to race is another question. Let's this X. I wonder what if it was actually called the X-Wing, because if it wasn't, let's see, steer star. You know what? That car may not have been. It may not have been entered. If that's the case, then I should enter it. Let me see. See, this is when I need a little graphic or something to pause when I go look for cars. I see a case over there. Hang on, I'm gonna grab that case. Let's see. Is this case the one? I don't see it. There is definitely one here somewhere. Huh. Wow. Well, I thought the X-Wing car was already in the fleet. How could it not be? But I don't see it listed. I don't see it listed under X-Wing. I don't see it listed under Star Wars. Let's see if it's under. Oh, let's see. We have one, number 36, Luke Skywalker. So let's check this page and take a look and see if, in fact, number 36 is the X-Wing car. 30. Oh no, this is some other. So this is interesting. So this has the little Rebel Alliance insignia, and it's this theme. But no, I have one that looks like an X-Wing fighter. And if I had known that it wasn't already in the fleet, I would have pulled it. And matter of fact, if we're just looking at cars in the fleet, I know for a fact there's also a Darth Vader car, which is number 346. Let's take a look at that one. So we scroll down. I can't believe that X-Wing isn't in there. And I'm not sure exactly where it is. Like, there's a drawer that I think it's in, but I can't find it. So maybe later we'll take the I'll put up the only graphic I have that is sort of a time holder or placeholder while I'm away is one for it's a bathroom break graphic that I use when I teach the online class with the students and give them a little bathroom break. And I haven't made a graphic for when I'm out searching for cars that people make suggestions for in the chat. Oh, here's the Darth Vader car, and it's right next to the Stormtrooper car. So there's the Darth Vader car, and here is the Stormtrooper car. I'm almost thinking, should we forego the usual format and just do a Star Wars set of races? I think we should. I think I've made an executive decision. And so now all I need to do is get the numbers of these cars. So we've got 346, 345. I think that Luke Skywalker car was number 36. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Are there any other Star Wars related cars that I have? There was a Chewbacca truck, but it was way too... Oh, wait, we've got the Lando Calrissian, that big, giant, long Cadillac type car. Okay, so let's take a look. Where is it? The Lando Calrissian, number 489. 89. Okay, so now we've got Lando. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. I remember it's like a long, like a Cadillac type car. 489. Okay, 489. And I remember being worried that it was going to... Here it is. This is the Lando Calrissian. I mean, it's like a Lincoln Continental. It's massive. Okay. All right, so we've got that. So now we've got the Lando Calrissian. We've got that one. We have the Darth Vader car, the Stormtrooper car, and the first Luke Skywalker car. And I will pull those, so that's 4. And then we have the, let's see here, we have this one. This is the Millennium Falcon car. If you've been watching At the Track Live for the past few weeks, or months, this car showed up, and it was pretty fast. It was poised to be our fastest in-fleet champion. In fact, it was our fastest in-fleet champion for about 20 minutes. And then I realized that I had forgotten, there was a car that I'd forgotten to introduce. Pulled that car in, and it turns out that car beat out the Millennium Falcon. And it kind of threw me off because I was planning to have a whole Star Wars themed promotional campaign behind the Millennium Falcon as the champion, as the fastest in fleet car. There was going to be things with light speed, and I was going to have the light speed graphics and all of that. And all of that was running through my mind. But then another car comes in 20 minutes after the Millennium Falcon car becomes our champion. And that's it. That's pretty much what happened. So I had to throw all those plans out the window, and the Millennium Falcon car, it has the unenviable distinction of being the shortest reigning fastest in fleet car in All About Aerodynamics At the Track Live history. And that is quite unfortunate. But we now are going to give it a second chance, because now it's going to be a part of today's Star Wars themed race, which again wasn't planned. I mean, I planned to bring the Millennium Falcon in, but then as I started talking through it, I realized that I did have several other Star Wars themed cars. So that makes 5 right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I have this one, which you may or may not be able to see. This is the Grogu Baby Yoda car. And this one, I can race it, but my concern is that the ears in the back, they stick out in kind of a V shape, like that. And I'm concerned. I don't think that they will fit into the launcher. I think this is going to make the car too wide to fit into the launcher. So I'll crack this open, but I don't think it is going to be able to race. Therefore, we will need one other car. And I think that that one other car should in fact be that X-Wing fighter. So what I need to do is I need to look those cars up and see. Let me just write this down again so I can go pull them. 346, 345, 346, 345, 36, and 489. Okay, so we've got those cars. Then we've got the Millennium Falcon. That'll be 5. And then if I can pull the X-Wing car, that'll top it off. That'll make it, yeah, that'll be perfect. So, all right, I guess I will go pull those cars. And because I don't have any other graphic other than the bathroom break graphic, then I will put up the bathroom break graphic, and maybe you need a bathroom break. If you do, go ahead and take that. I'm going to pull these cars, and then I will be right back. Okay. Okay. It took some doing, but I found it. I found the X-Wing car right here. I also found a couple others. So that was a weird little break. And again, I wish sometimes, you just have to go with the ideas when they come to you. And I wish that I'd thought about this ahead of time to have a Star Wars themed race for today. But what can I say? It didn't come to me until I started talking here live. And this is one of the drawbacks of live streaming is that if something happens, if there's a change of plans, then it happens right here. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the cars that we'll be racing today in this impromptu Star Wars May the 4th be with you lineup. So we already made note of the Millennium Falcon car, and so we have that is going to be one. That is one that we know, based on the past performance, is a fast car. This is the one that I was looking for. This is that's the X-Wing car, and I went to an event over at the Mattel Hot Wheels office. They had a whole event there. It was a car show, another event, and they actually had a full-size version of this car. I'll have to find those pictures and post. They had this one and the Darth Vader car, full size, which was very cool to see in person. And this is the X-Wing. Now this car, I don't recall this car racing before, but I definitely would not be surprised if this car is fast. I'd be concerned. It seems a little narrow, and narrow cars aren't necessarily the way to go on our track, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see this car in the finals. So we've got this one. We've got the X-Wing. That's there. Really like that car. And let's see. Then we have this one. This big boy right here. This is the Lando Calrissian. It's basically like the Calrissian Cadillac. This is a very long car. Even though the back ends flare out, I'm pretty sure that the fact that I still have it in the fleet means that it did in fact fit inside the launcher. It's a heavier car because it is one of their premium cars, and you can just look at it. There's a lot of metal on this car, but there's also a lot of detail, and it is, let me probably be better if I put it in focus. There you go. And I changed the angle of the camera mainly because, well, I'll explain it with the other cars. When I'm taking the still pictures of these cars, I want to I want a 3/4 view, but I needed to move the camera up at a higher angle so that they could be able to see the back end of the car, because the back ends of the car are very important on our track for reasons I'll explain later. Let me just see how much this car weighs. The Lando Calrissian. Oops. It weighs 47 grams, and by comparison, the Millennium Falcon weighs 34.5 grams, and the X-Wing car, probably lighter, yep, 29.3 grams. So that just gives you an idea of the weight. I also found this land speeder car, but this is definitely too wide to fit in the track. Show this here, land speeder. These little small wheels, but this is these rockets or jets on the side make it's too wide. It's going to be too wide to fit in the track, so, or into the launcher. So this one is out. I just figured I would show it for the sake of showing it. Now, here is the Luke Skywalker car, and this is pretty basically modeled after the helmets that the X-Wing and Y-Wing, the Rebel Alliance pilots wear. And that's, I'm thinking this came in a pack. It may have come in a pack with the Darth Vader and the Stormtrooper cars, possibly. I don't really remember, but here it is. And this, again, one of the issues is going to be that these Star Wars cars are premium cars, and as a result, with the premium cars, Mattel puts in a lot more detail, and there tends to be more metal. Now this is a metal body on a plastic base, which is typical of a lot of the cars, but this car in particular feels heavier. Let's see exactly how much it weighs. 39.6 grams, so it is definitely on the heavier side, but we will have to take it to the track and find out. Here is the Darth Vader car, and the Darth Vader car is definitely, this angle is, see this angle, let me move it back. So the Darth Vader car, my problem with it is that the back end of the car is rounded off, and because the back end of the car is rounded off, it's not going to have much surface area pressed up against the launcher. And as I say every single week, because our launching block is a flat surface, cars that have rounded or pointed back ends don't have as much surface area touching the launching block, and when they get pushed out, they can often get a launch that sends them left or right instead of straight. And the problem with going left or right is that it starts a pattern where the car hits one side of the track, scrapes against it, bounces to the other side of the track, scrapes against it, and bounces back and forth. Isaac Newton's third law of motion. And every time it hits the side of the track, that friction serves to help slow the car down. And ultimately, after doing that for a while, it'll just bounce back and forth. A car that can stay straighter will pass it by with no problem. So this Darth Vader car, one of the first things I look at on the cars is the back end. And if you'll see with the Draftntor, it's got a flat back end. It does have a bit of a spoiler slat wing coming off the back, but it's flat, and so that presses right up against the launching block. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why it gets such good launches and has done so well. But this Darth Vader car, you can see in the back, it's rounded because, again, they're sort of mimicking the shape of his helmet. And it's a nice looking car, and I like the red accents. I guess they wouldn't be white walls, the red walls on the tires. So there's the Darth Vader car, and they really did a good job of bringing out sort of the character the characteristics of each of the characters that these cars are meant to be modeled after. Now, here's one that's interesting. The Stormtrooper car. And this one is interesting because it actually has a flat back end. So as it comes around and you take a look at this wing and how the wing sticks out, the wing is flat right across the back, and that will press up nicely right against the launcher. And once it does, it should get a good solid push. Now the wing is high, and will that make a difference? Possibly. I think I'd be happier if the wing was a little lower. Definitely a lot of detail you can see on the engine as it comes around. The tailpipes look like Stormtrooper laser blasters. So they really try to work in as much of a Star Wars theme as possible. And so this is a good one here. So this one, I think if I had to pick, I know the Millennium Falcon car is fast. Or at least it was fast enough to be the fastest in fleet tournament champion for a moment. But we have a few, like the X-Wing. I think the X-Wing has a chance to be really fast. And Lando and the Luke Skywalker car, I don't think so. I don't think those two are going to be able to be at the end of the day. I don't think they're going to be able to win this little mini tournament. And the Darth Vader car, my concern, again, is the back end. But the Stormtrooper car, I think this has some potential. So we have our cars here, and then I will crack open the Baby Yoda car, because if it fits on the track, then we'll race it. And so let's go ahead and crack this open, this Grogu character car. There's a few others in this series that I don't have. There's a Boba Fett car, and then there's an R2-D2 car that I haven't seen, and I wonder, actually, oh, does this come out? Oh, this is, this car is definitely, even if it could stay on the track, it's definitely going to be slow, because it's got this gimmick where as the car is rolling, the Baby Yoda head will bounce up and down and pop up. So I've seen a few cars like that have that gimmick, but let me see. I'm wondering if I have a C-3PO car. I don't recall, but I presume it would be all gold. So I'm just checking. C. No. So I think this is the extent of the Hot Wheels cars that I have with a Star Wars theme. And there we go. So yeah, I don't think Baby Yoda is going to fit. But then you can see here, this is the part. See how he bobs up and down. I presume there's some little mechanism. Yeah, because you can see as it rolls, his head pops up and down. Even if this could stay on the track, that is not conducive for success. Oh, he's even got a little, I'll pull this up. He's got a little frog in his mouth. You can see, let's see if I can get the focus in. He's got a little frog in his mouth, or whatever those were that he was eating on the show. And then I also noticed that the ears are flexible rubber, so I might be able to tuck those in. But again, if they're going to pop out and rub against the sides, it's just going to slow this down. But we'll see. We will see how it all turns out for these cars, because we are going to take them to the track and we are going to see exactly how they perform. So when we go to the track, this is what you are going to see. You are going to see a 3-camera view, and the cars are going to start in the video screen on the left side at the top. You can see the launcher. I will give a countdown, 3, 2, 1, race. I will fire the cars out. They will come flying down the track from top to bottom. Once they pass out of the bottom of the screen on the left-hand side, you can pick them up at the top of the screen in the middle to watch them move through the middle section of our track. They will come from the top, flying down through the bottom. Past the bottom, you can pick them up at the top of the screen on the far right. That is our finish line camera. And the cars will come flying down, and they will cross the finish line, and the winners will be indicated by a solid red light. A solid red light indicates the winners. A flashing red light indicates the losing car. So pretty simple there. These races are best 2 out of 3. So the cars will switch lanes after each race. If a car crashes, then we just restart the race. If a car crashes a second time, twice consecutively, then it's eliminated, because usually a car that crashes twice in the same way, there's something wrong with either the launch it's getting or the design of the car, that it's not going to stay on the track, and rerunning the races over and over isn't going to change that fact. So we tend to hope that the cars all stay on the track and complete the race, but in the event that they don't, they are disqualified for 2 consecutive crashes. But we will see, especially in the case where we're dealing with a lot of custom cars with different styles of designs. Granted, there's a lot of fantasy cars that we've introduced, but those tend to still maintain more or less a traditional car shape and theme, but something like this, no, it doesn't. Or these cars themed after spaceships and all of that. So we will see which of these Star Wars themed cars is going to take the May the 4th title today. And I'll bring the Draftntor along just so we can keep things in perspective about how fast these Star Wars Hot Wheels cars are or are not. So with that said, I am going to, let me move this. I got one thing I need to move, and then I will be just about ready to get these cars going. And if you can still go to atthetrack.live and go to the choose a car page, and if you see a car that you think you would like to race, then all you have to do is find the car, pick the number, and drop it into the chat, and I will pull the car, and we will see where it falls into the line. So I am going to move this right over here, and now we are good to go. And so I will see you over at the track in 30 seconds. Okay, so we've got our Hot Wheels cars here. Let me just check the, let me just make sure that the camera is check the sound. Make sure nothing strange happened with the audio. 1, 2. Yep, we're good to go there. So we're going to have our May the 4th Hot Wheels races. All right, let's see. First, let's just go ahead and get this out of the way and see if the Baby Yoda car even fits into the launcher. Let's see. Baby Yoda. And it actually does. Okay, so Baby Yoda's in the house. All right, so we will go. Why don't we go? We'll go Baby Yoda versus Luke Skywalker. So let's get these cars set up. Currently, Baby Yoda is in lane number 2. Let me just make. Oh, okay. So Baby Yoda is going to require that I use the taller acrylic cover that I tend to use for trucks and taller vehicles. So that's not, hopefully that won't be a problem so long as the Luke Skywalker car stays in place. So, all right, let me switch this around. And this essentially helps keep the cars on the track because the launcher shoots them out with so much force that without this cover, they would tend to fly up into the air and off the track, and we'd never have any conclusive race. We wouldn't have any cars that cross the finish line. Okay, so here we go. We've got Baby Yoda in lane 2. We've got Luke Skywalker in lane 1. First race of the day, May 4th. Let's see what happens. Three, 2, 1, race. Baby Yoda got destroyed. It didn't even make it to the finish line. It sort of bobbed and weaved and just that gimmick that pops the head up as the wheels turn is not conducive to having a fast car, and that was one of the worst runs we've seen, but didn't expect much from this car to begin with. So let's see if it can cross the finish line. I think that will be a victory, but even with the force of this launcher, the car is not all that likely to cross. In fact, it kind of looks like a little Fiat, but obviously with a big alien sticking out of the top, so that does not really bode well for its now the Luke Skywalker car doesn't want to line up properly, so get that in there. Okay, all right, here we go. This is race number 2. This is the Baby Yoda car versus the Luke Skywalker car. It's weird. Okay, Baby Yoda, come on. It doesn't want to stay in place against the launcher. It's being temperamental. Imagine that. Okay, here we go. Race number 2. We've got Baby Yoda in lane 1. We've got Luke Skywalker in lane 2. Let's see if Baby Yoda can even cross the finish line. That'll be a win. Here we go. Three, 2, 1, race. And Baby Yoda came to a stop in almost the exact same spot as before. Well, at least we know that it is consistent, and so is the force with which the launcher is firing the cars out. The Luke Skywalker car, it crossed the finish line, but it was slow. And if a car looks slow, even against a really slow car, that doesn't bode well for its long-term prospects. But hey, it won its race, so Luke Skywalker has moved on to the next round. Let's go with, how about we go, let's go with, we'll go with the Stormtrooper car versus Darth Vader. No, I know what we should do. Darth Vader versus Luke Skywalker. That's the natural order of things. All right, we're going to go Darth Vader versus Luke Skywalker. And these cars lined up. So, I like this X-Wing car. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I had to order it online, and I paid a lot for it, or at least a lot more than you would typically pay for a Hot Wheels car, but I think it was worth it. I like it. Alright, so here we go. We're going to put this X-Wing car in lane 2. And we're going to put the Darth Vader car in lane 1. And let's see how this turns out. Okay, here we go. X-Wing lane 2. We've got Darth Vader in lane 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Ooh. And the Darth Vader car smashed into the barrier, flipped around, and ended up on the opposite track. But we will line it up again, and hopefully it will be able to stay on the track. The X-Wing car had no issues, no problems. But again, like I mentioned with the Darth Vader car, the round back end is what concerns me, because the car is not getting a lot of good surface area touching the launching block. And when that happens, the cars tend to go to one side or another, and it just doesn't tend to work out. They start bouncing back and forth, and I'm sure. So if the Darth Vader car crashes again in the same way, then it's definitely the car. There's something up with the car. And I would have to take a slow motion video to see exactly what it's doing. Different cars do different things, and if they crash consecutively, then I usually just take slow motion video, try to figure out what the problem is. But here we go. Restarting this race, Darth Vader lane 1 and the Luke Skywalker X-Wing in lane 2. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Darth Vader smashes into the barrier again, and there's got to be something up with this car and the launch that it's getting. So I would need to find out. Let's just try it, just for fun, even though it's disqualified at this point. Let's see one more time. I'm gonna watch it closely, but just watching it in real time, it's moving too quickly to really see exactly what the problem is. But I'm just gonna take a look right here. 3, 2, 1, race. Oh, of course it goes all the way down this time. Okay, I think with it being May the 4th, with this being a special circumstance and special set of races, we will try and run that race back again, because this is the classic matchup, good versus evil, father and son, Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker. We got to do this. So of course the Darth Vader car stays on the track when it's not racing. Okay, we're going to try this once again. One more time. Alright, got that lined up. The X-Wing, Darth Vader car. Hopefully I can do exactly whatever it was I did the last time. Okay. Okay, cars are lined up. Got to keep my fingers crossed that the Darth Vader car stays on the track. And here we go. Darth Vader lane 1, X-Wing lane 2. Let's see what happens. 3, 2, 1, race. Woo. All right, both cars stayed on the track. X-Wing took the first race. We will switch lanes and go again. So Darth Vader car stayed on the track. So hopefully, maybe those two bad launches at the beginning were the only ones it will have. But if it doesn't beat the X-Wing on this in this next race, then Darth Vader won't have to worry about any kind of launches because he will be done for the day. So let's get this thing all lined up. We'll have Darth Vader in lane number 2. And it will be the X-Wing in lane number 1. Let's get it in there. Oh, still not right. Matter of fact, I think because I found the X-Wing in a different bin with cars that I hadn't marked yet, I'll actually have to enter it into the fleet. So this will be the only car from today that gets entered in. Actually, no, I guess I can enter that Baby Yoda, even though that would be a horrible choice for any kid. But I do have character cars in there because I always want to see whether or not the students are going to pick with their heart or with their head. And if they pick that Baby Yoda car, that is entirely a heart pick because nothing in the all about aerodynamics lessons that they will have learned will say or suggest that that car would be fast. But that's part of the fun. Okay, here we go. Race number 2, Darth Vader in lane 2 and the X-Wing in lane 1. Let's see what happens. 3, 2, 1, race. Ooh. Okay, Darth Vader made a much better accounting and showing in that race, but in the end, the X-Wing pulled it out and went into attack formation and took down Darth Vader at the very end. That was a good race. Okay, so Darth Vader is eliminated, but I had already mentioned that I didn't think that of the two cars from the evil empire, I didn't think Darth Vader was going to be the one to come out on top. The one I'm interested in is the Stormtrooper car because of the wing in the back and the flat back end on that. So that's what's up next. The Stormtrooper versus the Lando Calrissian Cadillac. The Calrissian Cadillac. So let's see here. Lando. We'll put Lando in lane 2. This giant wing. But it fits perfectly. It almost wraps around the launching block, so that's good. And the Stormtrooper car presses right up against the launching block as well. So we've got two cars that are poised to do well, but my money is still on this Stormtrooper car to take it. So here we go, race number 1, Lando versus the Stormtrooper. 3, 2, 1, race. Oh! And boy, was I wrong. Lando smoked the Stormtrooper. That was not close by any stretch of the imagination. I don't remember the Lando Calrissian car being that fast, but okay, I see it now. Wow. Okay, so Lando takes race number 1 with ease, with complete and total ease. That's the biggest margin of victory I think we've seen today. So we've got the Lando Calrissian car up 1-0, wondering when is the competition going to arrive. But maybe the Stormtrooper car just got a bad launch, so that's why we do 2 out of 3, switch the lanes, all of that. So get Lando lined up in lane number 1. Stormtrooper is going to need to make up for that shoddy performance in lane 2. So Stormtrooper lane 2, Lando lane 1, and let's see what happens. 3, 2, 1, race. Lando Calrissian takes it. So now I have to I'm trying to think, if you go back and look at the past episodes of At the Track Live, you go to the YouTube channel and select live, and all of the episodes are there listed and all of the cars that raced. And if you find the Lando Calrissian car, you can see how it actually performed. I'm going to have to go back and watch that episode because I don't remember the car being that fast. Alright, so the Stormtrooper car is eliminated. That is the last of the cars from the Empire. So we are now left with the Millennium Falcon, and we'll put the Millennium Falcon car up against which one? Let's go Millennium Falcon and let's see. There would be that one. Let's see. Oh, we got an interruption, but that's going to have to wait. Okay, so we had an slight interruption from the ringing doorbell, which is still ringing, but cannot interrupt what we're doing now. So once that stops, we'll get back. But so far, we have the Lando Calrissian car that was much faster than expected. We have the Millennium Falcon car, which has proven to be fast in the past, but it's hard to say how it will ultimately perform. And we have the Grogu car, which wasn't ever going to be in the mix for the fastest in fleet. And both the Darth Vader car, it had the problems that I anticipated that it would, in that it went to the side and then it crashed twice. But once it stayed on the track, it was relatively. It wasn't fast, but it performed well enough. But The X-Wing car with that sort of drag car profile did much better. So I think the doorbell has stopped ringing, so we can get back to the races. So let's go back over there right now. Okay, let's see. We're going to go Millennium Falcon versus um we'll go Millennium Falcon versus Lando. Let's put Lando here in lane 2, Millennium Falcon lane 1, and let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Lando had the lead for a little bit, and then the Millennium Falcon simply turned on the jets. And once the Millennium Falcon turned on the light speed, it was able to catch Lando and pass Lando. But what we see with the Lando car just highlights what is typically seen with larger cars, is that as they get toward the back end of the track, they tend to slow down. And you see this regularly, and it is something that is pretty typical, which is why the weight of the cars matters, and it matters more on our track versus a gravity track. On a gravity track, a heavier car isn't necessarily a bad thing, but on this track, the 1/64th scale quarter mile, it is not what you want. You don't want a heavy car. The sweet spot seems to be that 35, 34 gram, right in there. All right, here we go. Race number 2, Lando lane 1, and the Millennium Falcon lane 2. Three, two, one, race. Lando. Lando crashes. But the thing that's funny is the Lando car didn't crash until it started to look like it was about to lose the race. In which case, that's actually, if these were real cars and people making decisions, that would be a smart decision, because the Lando car, if it knew it was going to lose, if it lost the race, it would have been eliminated, right? But instead, by crashing, by saying, oh no, I'm going to lose, and then crashing, flying off the track, it gets an opportunity for a restart. And maybe in a restart, it will have a better shot at taking the victory. So Lando, true to the character, very cunning and creative strategy, is now going to be restarting this race. So Lando in lane 1, Millennium Falcon lane 2. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Lando was losing, flew up again, and crashed. So 2 consecutive crashes will eliminate you. So the Lando car, which was poised to lose anyway, is eliminated. So we now have 3 cars left. Let me go down and get the Millennium Falcon. So we've got the Millennium Falcon, we've got the X-Wing, and we've got the Luke Skywalker car. So let's go Luke Skywalker versus the Luke Skywalker X-Wing in the next matchup. Here we go. We will put line this up. All right, Luke Skywalker, the one that's modeled after the helmet that the Rebel pilots wear, that will be in lane number 2. And the X-Wing, the Luke Skywalker X-Wing, will be in lane number 1. So Luke Skywalker versus Luke Skywalker's X-Wing. Luke Skywalker lane 2, Luke Skywalker's X-Wing lane 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. X-Wing, no problem. No problem whatsoever. So here's the interesting thing, is that this X-Wing, because again, I found it in a bin with cars that were not have not been entered into the fleet. This X-Wing will be entered into the fleet. If the X-Wing takes the races today and challenges and beats the Draftntor, then this X-Wing could come from obscurity to being the fastest in fleet champion. But I'm getting way ahead of myself because it still has a few more races to go before we get to that point. But yeah, let's get the Luke Skywalker car lined up right here. And we'll put the Luke Skywalker car in lane number 1. And the X-Wing in lane number 2. And get ready for this race. So here we go. The X-Wing lane 2, Luke Skywalker lane 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. X-Wing, once again. So now it has come down to the final race between the X-Wing fighter and the Millennium Falcon. Which car will take it? If you remember back to the original Star Wars movie, it was the Millennium Falcon, piloted by Han Solo, that came swooping in to save the X-Wing from getting shot down by Darth Vader as it tried to destroy the Death Star. So we will see which of these cars is going to take it today. All right, let's get them lined up. Okay, we'll put the Millennium Falcon in lane 2. And we will get the X-Wing in lane number 1. Okay, and here we go. X-Wing lane 1, Millennium Falcon lane 2. May the 4th final. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Millennium Falcon took it. So we know the Millennium Falcon is quick. And we're going to have to see if the X-Wing can come back. We have seen cars come back and take 2 in a row, but that race wasn't... it was close, but it wasn't so close that I think there's a chance that the Millennium Falcon can't repeat that performance, but we will see. It's why we race the cars. Okay, so switching the Millennium Falcon over to lane number 1, and the X-Wing in lane 2. All right, here we go. Race number 2. Millennium Falcon up 1 race to none. Three, two, one, race. The Millennium Falcon loses. It should have taken a page from Lando's book, because if you see how it's landed, partially on the barrier, it was doing that midway down the track. It went up on 2 wheels and then had 2 other wheels on the barrier. It got right on the track, but then somehow ended up back on the barrier. But it was doing this midway down the track, so it didn't. When I say it should have taken a page from Lando's book, what I mean is it would have been better off crashing, leaving the track, and then having the race restarted, because that would have allowed it to try and get a clean pass. But that is not what happened. So it comes down to this, the third and final race to determine which of these cars is going to be our May the 4th champion. So now, put the Millennium Falcon in lane number 2. And we will put the X-Wing in lane number 1. And get these lined up. This X-Wing doesn't want to seem to stay in place. There it is. Nice. Okay. Here we go. This is the third and final race to determine our May the 4th champion. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. The X-Wing takes it. X-Wing takes it, and the X-Wing is our May the 4th champion. And that was a pretty decisive victory. And now what we get to see is whether or not the X-Wing can beat out the Draftntor and become our fastest in fleet champion. And that would be a big deal, because this X-Wing, I had totally forgotten about it. It was in a bin that I would not have opened or thought to open if not for today's races. So, wow, this will be impressive. I can't tell. We'll know in a second if the X-Wing is really fast or if it was just faster than the slower cars it was facing. But it's got a shot. It's got a shot. Okay, so here we go. Actually, wait. Well, hang on. Let's get, make sure these are backed up just right. We'll put the Draftntor in lane 1 and the X-Wing in lane number 2. And get these lined up just right. Okay. All right. Draftntor lane 1, X-Wing lane 2. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. X-Wing pulls it out, beats the Draftntor. If the X-Wing can repeat that performance one more time, it will be our newest, fastest in fleet champion. This is a pretty remarkable run that this car is going on. To come from absolute obscurity to being on the brink of becoming the fastest in fleet car is not a small feat. So here we go. Let's see. Get these guys, get the lanes switched. Okay, and we will put the X-Wing in lane number 1 and get the Draftntor down here in lane number 2. All lined up and ready to go. Both cars look good. Here we go. X-Wing lane 1, Draftntor lane 2. 3, 2, 1, race. Wow. The X-Wing did exactly what the Millennium Falcon did in its last race. It went up on 2 wheels midway through and somehow managed to get back down on the track and finish the race. The problem is that by the time it did all those acrobatics, it was so far behind the Draftntor that there was no catching up. So the Draftntor ties things up and looks like it wants to keep its title of fastest in fleet. So here's what it's coming down to. This final race, the third and final race, the Draftntor versus the X-Wing. Get the X-Wing in lane 2 lined up. This is for the fastest in fleet honors and distinction. And get the Draftntor set up in lane 1. It's looking to keep its title. But can it? Can it do it? We will find out right now. Okay, here we go. Draftntor versus the X-Wing. Whichever car wins this is going to be our fastest in fleet. Will we have a new champion, or will it be the current reigning champion? Will the reigning champion defend its title? I don't know. Let's see what happens. 3, 2, 1, race. The Draftntor takes it. It was close. The X-Wing put up a good effort, but in the end, the Draftntor is still our champion and our fastest in fleet car. And I am going to gather these up, head back into the garage, and we will take a look at what happened and our current reigning defending champion. So let me grab these cars up and I will be back in just a second. So the Draftntor takes it. The Draftntor was challenged. It did not look good for some time because we had the X-Wing won that first race pretty definitively. It looked like it was ready to just walk away with the title, but the problem came in that second race when the X-Wing went up on two wheels, just like the Millennium Falcon. It went up on two wheels about midway through the track, came back onto the track, and then finished out. The Draftntor, operating out of that same lane, didn't have those problems. It went down, and both cars stayed on the track. The Draftntor just beat it out. So I don't know if the Draftntor got a bad launch in the first race that it lost, but it fixed whatever the problem was. The Draftntor corrected it and went on to defend its title. And so once again, in the face of a car that pretty much came out of nowhere, the Draftntor was able to hold on to the crown. So once again, the Draftntor is our fastest in fleet car, fastest in fleet champion. As I mentioned last week, I have a promo video that I've been working on for the last 2 weeks. Not that it's so fancy, it's only like 30 seconds, but it's just so many other things, so many other work things and meetings and this and that have taken time away from me completing that video. But once again, the Draftntor has given me an opportunity, has kept the video relevant. Had it lost, the video would have been irrelevant because it's celebrating the Draftntor as fastest in fleet. So I think after 3 or 4 weeks of victories, I think the Draftntor, and that's the least I can do, is finish that video. So that is definitely going to be on the plate. There are going to be some scheduling changes because this Saturday I will be out of town and I won't be back in town until the following Saturday. So that means definitely going to miss these next 2 Saturdays as far as At the Track Live. But what I'm going to try to do is maybe do an edition earlier in the week. So maybe trying to think what day would be good. Maybe Thursday. Maybe Thursday afternoon. I'll try that. But the best way to find out exactly what's happening with All About Aerodynamics and At the Track Live is to follow us on Instagram. And you can go to AA Aerodynamics and find us. Or you can go to aaerodynamics.com and learn all about aerodynamics and the science program and how to bring our science program to your students, to your school, to your special event. And through the Instagram account is where I'll update whatever the schedule is going to be. But if you go to atthetrack.live and scroll down, there's also a calendar. And on the calendar, I will post up when the next races will take place and events. This was definitely a strange episode. We had the sudden bit of inspiration from me to decide to turn this into a Star Wars themed episode, and because of that I wasn't prepared with the cars and had to go search those cars out. Didn't take too long, but I had to do it. And then we had the doorbell ringing, interrupting the races. How dare someone interrupt At the Track Live in the middle of our races? So it was a little weird, a little strange, but it was interesting nonetheless. And if you want to see additional episodes of At the Track Live, all you have to do is go to our YouTube page. The link is in the All About Aerodynamics account bio on Instagram, or you can just go to atthetrack.live and there's a link there. But once you get to our YouTube page, you can just select the live tab, and then all of the episodes are listed. And another thing on the to-do list is Race Grooves sent me some information on how to improve the time codes and put chapters into the episodes. And so what I was doing is, I do have time codes listed if you look at the description, but he showed me how to add the first line of code that tells YouTube, oh, you've got chapters. And therefore, when you're watching the video, you can see each of the chapter markers broken out. So I have to go back through and enter the information for each car that gets introduced and reviewed, and put this initial marker in there so there are chapters. But anyway, if you go there, you can see all the past episodes. So if you want to go back and see how the Lando Calrissian car performed against the 5 other cars that it faced, just select that episode. And this episode will be up there when we finish, but then I have to go back in and add the time codes and other information. So this was definitely one for the books. I'm glad, if for no other reason, I'm glad that the Star Wars, the X-Wing car, got introduced. I don't know, it was just in a separate box and bin just sitting there, and if it hadn't been for today, I probably would never have thought to go over there and pull it out. So I'm glad I did. I'm glad it was it's definitely a fast car. So if any future All About Aerodynamics students are watching, you may want to consider the X-Wing. That might be something you want to pick. But for now, the Draftntor is our fastest in fleet car. It is the one that is going to be promoted, and it is the one that all of the other cars are going to have to try and beat. And again, if you want to pick a car that you think is faster than the Draftntor, all you have to do is go to atthetrack.live, select choose a car. It will take you to a page that has all of the cars listed, and I am going to go in today and add in the additional cars. So we should, by the time we see each other again, there will be 639 cars for you to choose from. So I'm going to go add those now. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. May the 4th be with you. And until next time, I'll see you at the races.